at the cross, I surrender my life.
Amen. All right, if you have a Bible, open up Book of Romans. Romans chapter 12. Dropping my pen. Who wrote the book of Romans? Anybody? Paul. Who did he write it to? The Romans. If you ever wonder, what'd you say? Being mean? If you ever wonder who he wrote some of the books to, just read the title. Most of them is pretty evident. Romans chapter 12, verse 9. Romans 12, 9. Let love be without hypocrisy. The word hypocrisy there in the original language literally means be undisguised. Let your love be undisguised. Abhor what is evil and cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Give preference to one another in honor, not lagging behind in diligence. Be fervent in spirit, serving the Lord, rejoicing in hope, persevering in tribulation, devoted to prayer, contributing to the needs of the saints, and practicing hospitality. So he's talking here, and he's talking to the church about the church. He's been talking about being members of the same body, okay? And he's talking about how we are to treat each other, okay? When you love each other, let it be undisguised. I like that. I like that better than don't be a hypocrite. Because I'm a hypocrite. We're all hypocrites. We say one thing, we do the other. We say don't support, places that uphold evil, and then we go to Disney World. We do those things. I'm a hypocrite. So are you. It happens. But don't let your love be disguised. I watched Duck Dynasty. I don't know if you like Duck Dynasty. I don't know if you hate it. I like Duck Dynasty, and one of the greatest things I ever heard was Phil was asking his grandson about the girl that he's dating, and he says, does she wear a lot of makeup? And he says, no, sir. And he says, good, because you can hide a lot of evil with a lot of makeup. And I was like, I like that. I was like, that's good. Girl wears a lot of makeup, she's got to be hiding something, right? Get it home, scrape it all off, and you're like, whoa. Don't be. You look at her and you go, I love you even more now. No. Right? As guys, we can't really hide it. If we're bald, right? There's not a whole lot we can do. Don't let your love be hypocritical. Don't let your love be disguised. If you love people across the board. Okay? There's nothing worse than fake love. I've seen fake love. Okay? I've watched parents come to the school who really don't want to be there for their kids. I've seen that. I've seen children sit and cry. My mom is coming to eat lunch with me. She told me she'll be here. Lunch is over. Go get a tray and go sit down and eat. But she said she was coming. Your mother's a liar. I don't want to say that to you. She lied to you. Hate to break it to you. Don't let your love be disguised. When you love people, all people. But he's talking to the church and he's saying when you're working as a body, as a unit, love people. There's nothing worse than trying to fake it till you make it loving somebody. Okay? There's a lot of couples right now in relationships that they're just sort of there. And you look at them and you go, do you really honestly love each other? Do you know why you're devoted to this person? Why are you devoted to this church? Why do you love your church? Because let me tell you, if you come in on a Sunday and you sit in a pew, you're not really devoted. Now, I'm glad you're here, but you're not devoted. When things get tight and times get rough, you just go whoop and slip out and go to another church. That's not devotion. That's attendance. And Paul is saying there's a whole bunch of us, and if we're all just attending together, we're not really doing any good. I can attend my home every night. I can lay on the couch and attend. I'm in attendance. I'm there. My kids will say, yeah, my dad was there all the time. Oh, so you had a good father. I didn't say that. Love one another. Let your love be without hypocrisy. Bless those who persecute you. Now we're getting outside of the realm of here, hopefully. Hopefully nobody in the church is persecuting you. If they are, let me know. Okay? If you're being persecuted. If you walk back to the back and somebody's constantly grabbing you going, I don't like the way you wear your shirt, let me know and we'll get that handled. But bless those who persecute you. Now who is persecuting the first century church? The Romans. The book that he's writing to the church in Rome, and he's like, you know those guys that carry around swords that are getting ready to chop your head off? Bless them. Because the word persecute literally means the one who makes you run. So bless the person who makes you run. A big guy with a sword who kicks in this door and says, I'm killing everybody that's in attendance in this church. Guess what? I would love to say I'm going to tackle him and I'm going to be like, no, you're not. Guys, I might run over you on the way out the door. It may just happen.
Thank you for sending you home.
Hey, you know what? Services are dismissed. But here's the thing. Bless the person who's making you run. Now here is the question. $1 million question. Who in your life is making you run away from something? Is there anybody in your life who is making you run? Most of you are like, no, not really. A spouse, a boss, a family member. Anybody who's causing you to run, think about it. Is there anything that you're running from? Bless those who persecute you. Couldn't find my place because my page flipped over. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. Be of the same mind toward one another. Do not be haughty in mind, but associate with the lowly. Do not be wise in your own estimation. I love that. I love it. Never pay back evil for evil to anyone. Period. Respect what is right in the sight of all men. And if possible, as far as it depends on you, be at peace with all men. I'm going to read that again. If possible, so far as it depends on you, be at peace with all men. Now, what is that saying? That's saying on your end, you need to try to be peaceable. As far as your end goes, if it's up to you, be at peace with all men. Now, young bucks, if somebody comes up and they're getting ready to take the first swing, I don't know that that means you're supposed to stand there and just take it. No? My daddy told me different. If it's up to you, be peaceable. Don't pick the fight. But if the fight comes, you be ready. As far as it depends on you, be at peace with all men. Never take your own revenge, but leave room for the wrath of God. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. But if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him a drink. For in so doing, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. If your enemy comes in and he wants your TV, what do? What? You help him load it in the car. Yes, that's what the Bible says right there. You help him load it in the car. And you preach the gospel to him as you're loading your TV and as he's getting ready to take it away. If a man comes in here and he's looking for something to drink and we don't know him, now get out of here. That's not how we act. Sure, I got a drink. I'll give it to you after service. We talked about that this morning a little bit. When people come in, when your enemies come in approaching, bless them. Now, some of us don't really have enemies. Anybody have an enemy in their life? I'm not going to ask you who it is. Oh, well, that's no surprise there. Anybody have an enemy? Somebody that you just consider like, this is my arch nemesis? Nobody? Wow, y'all are good. Y'all are good. Y'all get along with everybody. Well, we don't need this sermon. Y'all can go home now. Here's the thing. There's a reason Paul wrote this. What you have to remember about the writings is they weren't broken up by chapter. Okay? They weren't broken up the way we have the Bible written now. They were all one continuous script. So you read this part, and as a Christian, you go, don't really have any enemies. Nobody's really causing me to run. Nobody's really persecuting. Nobody, like it's okay. Like life's going pretty well. I'm okay. Here's a question for you. Are you, and this is going to be YouTube gold right here. Are you Police Lives Matter? Yeah, support local law enforcement. Me too. Support local law enforcement. Pray for your officers. Support your officers. Now here's the question. Are you Black Lives Matter? Are you pro-Black Lives Matter movement? Because in our country, what the media is doing is they're pitting these two things against each other. Obviously, we can't have officers who love being officers, and we can't have black people who are proud to be black people, and we can't have white people who are proud to be white people, because that's just racist. And you can't be proud to be Hispanic. You can't be proud to be Peruvian. You can't show your heritage. Don't do that. Everybody needs to just quit being who they are because nobody else likes it. We're all really offended right now. And the media pumps this into you. And we take it in. Did you know you can be pro-police and pro-black? That's okay. That's okay. Did you know you can be pro-black and pro-white? That's actually a really good thing. It doesn't make you a racist to love the fact that you're white. As long as you're willing for your love to be undisguised and you're willing to love black people too, and Mexican people, and Chinese people, and all these other people. I told you guys while we were at Disney, it was opening to me because I'm on this bus, and I told a couple of people this morning. I'm on this bus, and have you ever sat in a place where you go, I'm the only one of me here? Like I'm it. We're on this bus, and we're talking, and I'm kind of thinking, man, people might be eavesdropping on our conversation. And I look over, and there's this Irish family. You can tell I'm heavy Irish accent. And they're all talking. And I'm like, oh, that's a cool accent. So I'm kind of listening to their conversation while my wife is talking. And the kids next to them, I assumed were their kids. Well, they're not. They start talking, and they've got a British accent. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, that's a whole different, you know. And so they're just sitting there, and they're all talking. And Tasha starts kind of talking with the mom, and the lady behind me, she starts talking to her husband, and I'm guessing what was Farsi. I mean, probably like an Iranian language. And I'm like, well, that's completely different. And I just sat for a minute and went, wow, this little bus is a pretty good melting pot. Like, I'm the only yokel from Texas in this joint. Like, here I am, you know. And they're probably thinking, man, that's the lamest accent ever. Like, you sound like you need to be on a horse in a Western. But we're talking to these folks, and I told some of the people, like, I watched families who are so different from us. So different from us. I saw Muslim families at the parks, and I saw a man, they're walking, and he's got his daughter's hand, and she fell and she tripped, and she just starts crying, and he picks her up, and he's hugging her, and he's holding her. And you look at these people, and you go, they're people. He's a dad with a crying kid. I heard, you know, the English language, the British accent, it's gorgeous. when it's spoken softly. I heard dads from the UK screaming at their kids, and I'm like, that's pretty scary when it's coming out forcefully. But here I am, and I'm like, I'm in the same boat. It's hot, I'm sweaty, my kids are lollygagging, and I'm like, get in the bus, you know? And we're just dads screaming at our kids, and the kids are just kids going, well, we want to go ride the ride. You know, we're all the same. And we all had one common goal in mind.
The kids on the bus.
Yeah, get the kids on the bus. No, we all had one common goal in mind. We were there to be on vacation. We were there to have a great time, spend time with our families. We were there to love. And it was comforting. All of these people from all of these nations coming into this place with the same common goal, and it works flawlessly. It works beautifully. And then I would get back to the resort at night, and I would open up my phone, and I would open up Facebook, and it almost made me vomit. Because I'm opening up Facebook, and it's just, these police got shot, and Hillary hates Donald, and Donald hates Hillary, and da-da-da-da-da-da, and I'm just like, bleh, and I throw it away. And I'm like, why can't we just, look at what it says. Look at what it says. Do not be wise in your own estimation. Be of the same mind towards one another. Don't be haughty, but associate with people that are lowly. Never pay back evil for evil to anyone, anybody. Respect what is right in the sight of all men, if possible. As far as it depends on you, be at peace with all men. Don't take your revenge, but leave room for the wrath of God, for it is written, vengeance is mine. But if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him drink. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. And you talk about that in this culture, and you talk about it in our churches, and you go, yeah, but what does that have to do with anything? And the Apostle Paul, he's way ahead of you. 2,000 years ago, he's way ahead of you. Because you're like, what does evil and doing good have to do with us, have to do with our current situation? What does that have to do with the 21st century? This was written by this guy in this little town, in this little shack in Rome 2,000 years ago. What does he know about my life? Look at his very next sentence. Every person, literally every soul, is to be in subjection to the governing authorities. 2,000 years ago, and he's writing to the church about the exact same problems we have today. There are folks coming who are causing you to run. Bless them, love them, but at the same time, you submit to your government. Submit to your government. Submit to your governing authorities. If you've spent time on a protest line, which is your right in America to protest, but I desperately want to go out there with this verse and just go, hey, right there, God said, every person is to be in subjection to the governing authorities. Do you know what that means? When that means when you're on the highway and the cop pulls in behind you, what's your first plan of action?
Pull over.
Pull over. For some of us, that's obvious. Some of us, our first instinct when I said that was, see if we can outrun him. Depends on who the cop is, right? If I'm in Bardwell and I got a straight shot, I might can get away. No. Whether you like it or not, he is a governing authority. Now, some of you live there, and some of you are like, he ain't my authority. He is he's a governing authority. Every person is to be in subjection to the governing authorities. You're to be in subjection. When the IRS calls you and says, why have you not paid taxes in 13 years? Slipped my mind. Do you know what I make in a year? Like, you're really going to come mess with me over $12.58? You have to be in subjection when it's time to pay your taxes. Pay your taxes. Guess what? As much as I hated it, as much as I stomped my feet when Obamacare passed, Oh, I knew I was going to get that from somebody. When Obamacare passed, and I was like, he can't force me to do this. I'm not doing it. Guess what? After 4 years of penalties, the first question when I came on to the pastoral board, when they were like, is there anything I'd really like insurance because I'm tired of paying him. These penalties are wearing me out. Be in subjection to your governing authorities. You don't have to like it. You don't have to approve of it. That's why we have elections. That's why you vote. And I understand your man or woman may not win. But that's why we're a democracy. That's why you have to get out on those voting days and vote. It's so that you have leaders that you respect. Every person is to be in subjection to governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those which exist are established by God. Process this. Barack Obama is established as the President of the United States by the Lord Jesus Christ. In a second, it's going to call him a minister. Calm down. So every time you've bashed Obama, every time you've bashed the presidency, you're bashing an appointment set by God. It's no surprise to God that Barack Obama is the President of the United States. It's not. It's no surprise to God who's going to be the next president, and the one after that, and God willing, the one after that. It's not a surprise. He's not flinched by it. Oh, this guy won? What are we going to do now? That's not how God acts. Look at what it says. And those which exist are established by God. Therefore, whoever resists authority has opposed the ordinance of God. Whoever resists authority. Put your hands out of the car. No. No. I mean, something as simple. License and registration. Here's a tip. I'm going to give you a tip. How not to get shot. When you get pulled over by a police officer, have it ready to go. And have your hands like this. That way when he walks up, he sees your hands and he says, license, and you go, here you go, sir. I guarantee you, you're still going to get a ticket. But you won't get tased. Be respectful, be polite, don't resist. Therefore, whoever resists the authority has opposed an ordinance, the ordinance of God. When you look at your governing authorities as ministers, as people appointed by God to govern over you, you start to see that serving them is serving the Lord. I don't slow down because I'm afraid of Mike and Bardwell. I don't fear any man. I don't fear him, what he can do to my body. I'm going to lock you up in Bardwell jail. Go for it. But here's what I fear. I fear being disrespectful because Christ has told me to be respectful. I fear resisting because Christ has told me, because Paul has told me, don't resist. You're going to get your ticket. Guess what? If you weren't speeding, you wouldn't get the ticket. It's pretty well common sense. And that's what we're really lacking now. And Paul is reiterating to the Christians, look, when they come in, and this is on a bigger scale, of course, in Rome, when the Roman guards kick in your house carrying swords, ready to tumble over all your stuff and ready to behead you, do not resist them. Don't fight them. Don't scream at them. They're governing authorities. When they demand unfair taxes, pay them. Hence, we go back to when they demand a cup of water, give them a drink. When the Roman guards would come in and say, you owe us taxes. I paid you taxes yesterday. You owe us more. Because they would do that. Guess what? Paul is saying, pay the taxes and continue to pay them until they are burdened with what they're doing. Let God take revenge for you. Let God be your vengeance. You know it's not right. They know it's not right. But you belong to somebody who can touch the soul. All you're going to do is cause a ruckus at City Hall that, quite frankly, nobody's listening to and everybody's tired of. Hate to break it to you. Sign your petitions. It's not going to change. But God can change the heart of any man. Period. And when you remember that, when you go, that cop, you know what? That cop pulled me over and he was a jerk to me and I hate him. Okay? Instead of walking in the house and getting your 9mm and going searching for that cop, or instead of writing off some fiery letter, this guy needs to be fired. Or instead of jumping out and screaming and hollering, you know what you do? Pray. I'm going to pray for you. And I'm going to pray for you. And I'm going to keep praying for you. I'm not going to pray for you one time and then go, well, God didn't do anything. I'm going to keep praying for you. Because maybe you were having a bad day. Maybe the pressures of your job, getting shot at, that's a pretty bad day. I'm speeding because I'm late because I got to go to the bathroom. That's a bad day. Let's be honest. 99% of the times you speed is because you haven't found a bathroom and you really need one. And you're flying down the highway 30 miles over. I got little kids, man. When one's in the back and he's like, I got to go. And you're like, here we go. You're flying down the highway and you're like, I'm having a bad day. This guy, I don't know what day he's having. He probably just got chewed out by somebody. He may still be reeling from the things that happened in Dallas. It could be anything. And he comes up to the car, license and registration. And I want to go, what's your problem, jerk? I have to calm myself. I'm going to bless you. Here you go, sir. Son's just really got to go to the bathroom. Sorry. You be in subjection. Therefore, whoever resists authority has opposed the ordinance of God, and they who have opposed will receive condemnation upon themselves. For rulers are not a cause of fear for good behavior, but for evil. Do you want to have no fear of authority? Do what is good, and you'll have praise from the same. That's such an easy thing to grasp. I'm tired of my teachers yelling at me for being late. Guess what? Don't be late. I'm tired of my boss yelling at me for taking 13 smoke breaks a day. Well, guess what? Quit smoking and stop taking the breaks and get to work. And you won't get yelled at. Then your productivity goes up. Then your boss comes in and goes, you know what? You've been working really hard lately. I've seen your numbers go up. You've been doing real good. It's so simple. And yet, so hard. Do what is good, and you will have praise for the same. For it is a minister of God to you for good. What's a minister of God? Governing authorities. But if you do what is evil, be afraid, for it does not bear the sword for nothing. Now this literally means, because back like we talked about, in Roman times they would walk around with a sword. An honorable death if you were caught cheating, if you were caught in subjection or in conflict with the Roman authorities, they would behead you. If you were a lowly criminal of low class, they crucified you. But if you do what is evil, be afraid, for it does not bear the sword for nothing. For it is a minister of God, an avenger who brings wrath on the one who practices evil. Therefore it is necessary to be in subjection, not only because of wrath, but also for the conscience sake. For because of this you also pay your taxes. Hopefully you pay your taxes. For rulers are servants of God, devoting themselves to this very thing. Render to all what is due to them. Tax to whom tax is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, and honor to whom honor. That's what we've lost. When you walk into court, try to show respect for the judge. You may not respect the judge personally, but the title head, don't go to court in shorts and flip-flops and wonder why the judge looks at you crazy. Honor the judge. Honor the office. When you meet the president, you might not care for who the president is at the time. The title of President of the United States demands respect. And we've lost that. Thanks to social media, thanks to informality, we've lost that. We've lost the honor. We've lost the pride that goes with things. It used to be a badge of honor to put on a police uniform and go to work every day. Little kids saw you and went, wow, I want to be a policeman when I grow up. We've lost the fear of our police, the honor, the respect of our police. We've lost those things, and we desperately need them back. Guys, it's really not hard. It's really not difficult. Verse 8, he's gonna sum it up here. A very, very, very famous piece of Scripture. You all know it. I just bet you didn't know where it was settled in the Bible. Owe nothing to anyone except love to one another. For he who loves his neighbor has fulfilled the law. For this, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet. And if there is any other commandment, it is summed up in this saying, what? You shall love your neighbor as yourself. You're taught that as a child. We're taught that as little kids. We teach our children, love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you can just love people the way you would want to be loved, if you can treat people the way you would want to be treated, everything works itself out. We have forgotten this rule. It's golden, and we've sold it for a lie. We've traded it off for a lie that my life is more important than yours. That's a lie. It's a lie straight from hell. Satan is pushing it, and he's pushing it in the hearts of every person in the world that somehow you are more important than me and I am more important than you. And God is coming back and saying, don't be haughty. Don't think of yourself too highly. Love everybody. Love people. Listen to people. Try to understand people. Owe nothing to anyone except for love. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no wrong to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfillment of the law. Do this, knowing the time that it's already the hour for you to awaken from your sleep. For now, salvation is nearer to us than when we believed. The nighttime is almost gone and the day is almost near. Therefore, let us lay aside the deeds of darkness and put on the armor of light. Let us behave properly as in the day, not carousing in drunkenness and sexual promiscuity, sensuality, not in strife or jealousy, but put on the Lord Jesus Christ and make no provision for the flesh in regard to its lust or desires. Deny your desires. Deny your natural impulse to hate other people. Deny what the media is spewing at you to hate people. Love people. Love people. Not just these people. Especially these people. Love starts right here. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If we can't love each other, we can't love the world. Guys, support your government. Honor your government. Pray for them, please. Pray for them. We need it. You might be looking at the world right now going, you know what? I don't even know which direction this thing's going to go. That's okay. God does. And it may not be the direction I want. You know what? God never really asked me what I wanted. That's why He's God and I'm not. I'm going to trust Him. I'm going to love Him. And I'm going to keep loving people, and I'm going to keep loving Him.